Welcome to a penthouse in the clouds, floors like ice, windows like knives, and a single door that must not open. Behind it, a wife whispers for help. Outside, a housemaid with a past listens and steps into a performance staged for murder. In Freida McFadden's The Housemaid's Secret, the victim may be a mastermind. The maid a strategist, and every bruise might be makeup. Lean in. The house is spotless. The Housemaid's Secret, a psychological thriller performance script, the door that must not open, city hum. High-rise wind under glass, soft footsteps on marble. The hushed echo of a city that eats secrets for breakfast. There's a penthouse where even the air seems trained. Floors like ice, windows like knives, artwork that costs more than innocence, and a door at the end of the hall that must not be opened. Inside, someone whispers for help. Outside, a housemaid listens. Her name is Millie Calloway, and her past has sharp edges. She was supposed to scrub away other people's sins, not rearrange the crime scene. Not today, not again. Elevator chime, keycard beep. The controlled breath of a man with everything to lose. Douglas Garrick, you understand the rules, Miss Calloway? The guest room is off limits. My wife is unwell. You will not disturb her, no questions. Cash every Friday. Discretion is non-negotiable. Discretion. The sweetest lie on the richest tongues. Millie nods. There are bills. There is school. There's a record that bruises job prospects like a thumbprint on a throat. She says yes to the rules. She says yes to the money. And behind that door, the whisper becomes a tremble. Cloth swish. Spray bottle. A small wet dot dark on Egyptian cotton dot blood. Just a pinkish echo when diluted, but blood all the same. A handprint smudged on the doorframe where no one is supposed to touch. The first question Millie doesn't ask burns hotter than any she could voice. She's done this before, helped a woman out of a husband's cage. The very thought turns the penthouse into a chessboard. She moves like a knight, unexpected angles, one step ahead of regret. Muffled sob from behind the guest room door. Wendy whispered, trembling, please, don't let him hurt me again. Wendy Garrick has the kind of beauty that makes pain photogenic. A bruise like a wine stain under foundation. Chapped lips that tell a story with their silence. The locked room becomes a stage. The lines write themselves. Millie, ex-con turned amateur savior. Wendy, the fragile songbird with a broken wing. Douglas, the man who keeps the cage clean. The play begins, the job with rules, morning routine, montage, vacuum low, gentle sync run, cabinet click. Millie is good at cleaning, better at seeing. She sees the gaps between stories, the hairline fractures and polished surfaces. Douglas demands order like a priest demands obedience. He never yells, he modulates, and sometimes that is worse. In the bedroom closet, shirts are arranged by gradient from storm to sky. In the bathroom bin, tissues speckled with beige makeup. Faint rust colors underneath, coffee, bitter, milk expired. And in the guest room, sorrow fresh. Douglas, let's keep the guest room undisturbed. My wife needs rest, she's delicate. The city exhausts her, delicate. Certain words are used like chloroform. Delicate means controlled. Delicate means handled. Delicate means locked. Millie finds excuses to drift near the forbidden store. The whisper grows into a fragile voice. It tells a story she's heard before. She wants to be wrong. I send single quotes Wendy through the door. He takes my phone. He keeps me here. If you help me, I'll leave. I'll never come back. Please, that please is a blade that fits Millie's hand. She writes down a motel address on a paper towel. She plans the time. She plans the route. She plans to pretend she isn't planning anything at all. When she sleeps, she dreams of doors that swing open and men who call a woman delicate as they close the lock. Extraction Street at night. Tires on wet asphalt, a door eased open. Be the first attempt fails. Douglas arrives unexpectedly, or maybe not unexpectedly. Maybe the calendar hangs on the wall for a reason and not a reason that helps. Wendy flinches, Millie freezes. The hallway shrinks. She backs away with a trash bag pressed like a shield against her chest. Days pass. Rhythmic cleaning sounds like a ticking clock. Second attempt. Timing is everything. Millie buys time like it's on sale, stacking it against bad luck. Wendy is a bundle of nerves, jaw clenched, a hand over her rib as if it hurts to breathe. They make it to the elevator. Into the car, to the motel. Millie presses a cheap key into a shaking palm. Wendy, you shouldn't have done that. He'll come. For me, he always comes for me. Fear makes prophets of cowards and cowards of prophets. Douglas retrieves Wendy. Money rearranges outcomes. Millie watches as the problem resets like a cruel video loop. Captive, rescue, recapture. The loop has a middle. It will have an end. The night of the gun dark. An apartment that sounds empty but isn't. The click of a lull. Wendy says this is the only way. She has a plan, and she speaks like someone who has run out of options, fast, imprecise, desperate. She presses a gun into Millie's hand. The metal is colder than fear. She's babbling about self-defense, about the law, about he'll kill. Me first. It isn't logic that moves Millie, it's momentum. The kind that builds when too many lives insist on repeating themselves. A figure enters. A gasp. A scuffle that isn't quite a fight. The man in the doorway is Douglas Garrick, or so the moment declares. There's a lunge. A flash, a shot that cracks the night apart. The body drops. The smell of cordite and something like regret. Millie's heart is a trapped bird against her ribs. Wendy's breath is a metronome that refuses to keep time. Wendy, go, I'll tell them what happened. I'll say it was me. Please go. Millie runs. Sometimes leaving is the same as staying when the past follows like a shadow that knows the route. The first twist. TV news in the background. A name, Douglas. Garrick, a photograph, not the man who fell. A silence that means isn't him. The man on the news, Douglas Garrick, is not the man on the floor. The human brain is terrible with certainty and wonderful with lies. Millie has been handed an empty gun and an empty truth. The blanks in the chamber are a joke she can't laugh at yet. The real Douglas is dead later elsewhere with a bullet that isn't blank. Wendy invited him home and fixed the timeline with a surgeon's hands. And the man who fell? Russell Simons, husband of Douglas's assistant. Furniture salesman. The fake Douglas in a rehearsed scam. Millie didn't commit murder. She rehearsed it, fire emptiness into a performance. After she left, the real death waited. Wendy pulled. The trigger herself, gloved and practiced, then painted Millie's prints over the narrative. Millie is the perfect suspect because she believed the perfect lie. The net tightens, police knock. Papers shuffle. The detective, we're piecing together a complicated night, Miss Calloway. There are messages that suggest you were seeing Mr. Garrick. He ended it. You didn't take it well. We'd like you to explain. The insinuations are carefully. Iron, no wrinkles, no accusations that can't be folded away. A flirtation recast as an affair. Concern packaged as obsession. Millie watches her life re-edited in real time. Her boyfriend Brock Lawyer smiles smooth as Chrome walks out when the past starts speaking on camera. She's exonerated by lack, not proof. Not yet. Then, a click in the puzzle. Douglas had changed his will last month, everything to charity. Nothing for Wendy. No jackpot at the end of this rainbow, only the weather report, stormy with a chance of justice. Also security. Camera footage at the back entrance of the penthouse shows comings and goings that make a new story. In it, Millie leaves before Douglas arrives. In it, Wendy and Russell play house together. Detective Colon curious thing about cameras. They don't lie. People do. The cabin country night. Crickets. A hot tub slow churn. Champagne liberated with a pop that sounds celeb. Wendy flees with Russell to a remote cabin borrowed from somebody's idea of romance. The phone calls come like knives wrapped in velvet. First, the will no inheritance, only public relations to be managed in the afterlife. Then the police footage, timelines, a story that no longer fits in Wendy's mouth. Her victory sours. On her tongue, door opens, footsteps, quiet, slow, intentional. Mary Beth Simons has the calm of a woman who has rehearsed this confrontation 100 times in the quiet when she couldn't sleep. She greets Wendy like a hostess in Hell's Foyer. Russell turns toward her, mouth open to say the wrong thing. He doesn't finish the thought. The bath goes red. Mary Beth? Right. The whole truth. Start with the affair, then the plan. Then the frame up, don't stop until I tell you to. Wendy's hand shakes. The pen moves anyway. She writes herself into the corner she painted, every letter a stone. Mary Beth dictates the suicide note next, simple, brutal, irrevocable. Then she holds up a glass the wine Wendy's been sipping. Mary Beth mentions a word that lands like A quiet verdict, digoxin, Mary Beth, heart medication. At the right dose, it saves lives. At the wrong one, it arranges endings. Count your heartbeats, Wendy. They are numbered. Wendy's beauty cannot argue with chemistry. Poison doesn't debate. It decides. Millie's secret moves city again, shoes on pavement. A small bottle rattles once in a pocket, here's the shiver. That turns the spine to glass. None of this is coincidence. Mary Beth didn't arrive by accident. She had guidance from Millie. It was Millie who told Mary Beth about Russell's affair. Millie who provided the digoxin medicine common to the men around Wendy, now repurposed with surgical moral clarity. Millie didn't wait for the law to notice the shape of the truth. She carved it. Justice isn't always a gavel. Sometimes it's rubber gloves and a steady hand. When the detective calls footage confirms Millie's timeline, the confession cements Wendy's guilt. The scene at the cabin ties a bow on the package. Millie says the right words. Gratitude. Relief. The performance continues. But now she's the playwright. Detective. If help is needed for the victims worked with, there's an open line. For the record cleared, no charges. For the record, yes. But the truest records are not official. They are the self-carried, the lines crossed with eyes open, the relief that tastes like copper and costs more than breath. The clean up a quiet apartment. The click of a lock that no longer frightens. The whisper Millie moves forward, not past forward. The city has not changed. She has. She doesn't look back when a small pill bottle goes missing. She doesn't chase a ghost when the past tries to knock. She rearranges the future with discipline only survivors understand. There was a time she believed justice was a door with light behind it, waiting to be opened by the right hand. Now she knows the light is carried in. Justice is a thing, built, not found. And sometimes it is the housemaid who builds it, brick by precise brick, until there's no place left for monsters to sleep. Coat of 4 images to leave behind a penthouse shrine to control, where a forbidden store turns a locked room into theater. A staged murder with blanks that echoes into a real one. Because the cruelest lies wear a victim's face. A cabin, where steam fogs glass and a red line in the water writes the truth better than any confession ever could. A pair of rubber gloves folded away, and a heart that learned to stop asking permission. Optional. Interlude, character threads for performance texture. Millie's constraint. An ex-con balancing community college classes. Ren and a stubborn moral compass that points toward women locked in rooms, even when pointing means danger. This history makes her both the ideal helper and the perfect patsy. Wendy's con. A seductive, calculating social climber who scripts her bruises as carefully as her alibis. She falls in love with the idea of getting away with it and with Russell. When convenience turns into need, Russell's role, a lover cast as a decoy husband with the wrong kind of courage, plenty for adultery, none for murder. He's there to look like Douglas until the gunshot, and then to look like a body until the bath says otherwise. Mary Beth's cold fire. The wronged wife who becomes the precise blade of the narrative. She doesn't shout, she arrives. She conducts. She closes the curtain. Douglas's absence. A man who controlled the world he could see and missed the performance behind him. He changed his will, but not fast enough to stop a bullet, only fast enough to salt the wound he leaves behind for Wendy. Begin with a single elevator chime sustained under a low drone. Fade slowly into a clean room hushed out, the elevator doors open like a magician revealing an empty box. Except nothing is empty up here. The penthouse is full of the kind of silence money buys, not peace, not comfort, just the absence of ordinary noise. Millie steps onto marble that reflects her like a lie. She's a keycard that isn't hers in a history that never stops telling on her. The man with the perfect tie is already watching. Douglas, the agency recommended you highly. They mentioned you're meticulous. That's what this place requires. My wife is sleeping. She's been unwell. Any disturbance accelerates her symptoms. You'll keep to the main rooms and the kitchen. The guest room is off limits. Do we understand one another? His voice is gentle enough to bruise without leaving marks. Millie says yes because rent is due in every life, and she's tired of wondering which doors will open to someone with a record. She's done trying to become invisible. Instead, she's learned to walk through rooms without leaving fingerprints. Almost. Cleaning montage. Slow. Deliberate. Cleaners, fabric, glass. There's an art to cleaning that only certain people respect. It's like detective work in reverse. You don't find the truth. You make it vanish, but the truth resists. It clings under chair legs in the porous honesty of cutting boards, in the crease of a curtain where someone wiped a tear too quickly. Millie sees it all. The guest room door has a nick where a ring scraped it. There's a reddish half moon on a tissue buried under paler ones. The sheets in the main bedroom smell like a stranger's cologne. And from behind the door that is off-limits breath that hitches like a record skipping at the frightening part of the song Wendy, through the door, barely there. Hello? Please, a whisper is a confession with training wheels. Millie sets down. A basket of white towels that don't seem to absorb anything. She breathes close to the wood. She keeps her voice small and neutral to make room for the truth. Millie, I'm outside. Tell me what you need. Wendy, I need to leave, but he takes my phone. He tells everyone I'm sick. I'm not just tired and sore. Please, can you help me? She has heard this before. Different walls. Same script. Not a faker script. The words are too raw. Millie writes a time and a place on a folded paper towel. She palms it under the door like a secret handshake. The plan is simple. Simplicity is what keeps plans alive. Night car, turn signal, wipers, dot they. Almost make it. The elevator misbehaves, surrendering them into a lobby that contains a man who never adjusted his surprise. Douglas's smile is surgical. Douglas, going somewhere? Wendy trembles. Millie becomes a statue wearing a maid's uniform. They turn around. The loop resets. And at home, Millie stares at a ceiling that refuses to fall. Exhaustion is a kind of prison with softer walls. Days tick by. Second try, better timing. Wind sneaks under the city and turns the streets into quiet. Rivers, Millie doesn't shake. Wendy nearly snaps. They spill into the motel room and everything smells like old plans and newer regrets. Wendy says she can't stay. He'll find her. He always finds her. Which is what abusers want believed. Which is how they become gods in their own small kingdoms. Wendy, he'll kill me. He will dot the words land and leave a blueprint. It includes a gun. Wendy's plan sounds like panic wrapped in logic. It holds together if not inspected too closely. But fear alters the standards of close inspection. Millie nods. She trusts the wrong part of the story. In the morning, she will trust less. But in the night, she trusts. A gun placed on a table. Quiet metal. There's a weight to decisions that metal understands. Wendy puts the pistol in Millie's hand and asks her to stay until Douglas arrives. It will be self-defense. It will be the last resort that somehow became the only one. Millie is not a killer. She's a survivor who can aim when forced. The door opens. The figure enters. The lunge comes. The world narrows to the trigger and the ear-splitting punctuation mark at the end of a sentence that begun when someone said, "Delicate, gunshot, ringing dot." The body drops. Wendy gasps. Millie tastes metal and not just in the air. Wendy is talking too fast, too clean. Go, I'll take care of this. I'll tell them I did it. Millie moves because the floor tilts. She runs because physics demands it. At home, TV, news voice, Douglas Garrick. The face on the screen is expensive and familiar and wrong. That is not the man who fell. The first twist is the kind that unravels other fabrics, if that wasn't Douglas, then who was he? And where is Douglas? The answer lands hard, dead later at Wendy's invitation. The gunshot Millie fired was a rehearsal. The murder was the real show, performed after the audience left the room. Russell Simons has been borrowing identities and beds. Husband of Douglas's assistant, furniture salesman. The fake husband in a fake fight with real blanks. He was supposed to play decoy and then gunman. When the real Douglas arrived to sign papers, Russell lost his nerve. Wendy did not. The bullet she fires ends a marriage and begins a frame. Millie's fingerprints are on the idea, if not the weapon. Police interview room ambience. Detective call on Miss Calloway. Messages suggest an affair. We think Mr. Garrick tried to end it, and Millie doesn't flinch. She has learned that flinching is misinterpreted by people who think confidence equals innocence. Her lawyer boyfriend walks out when her past flips its own security footage onto the table. The detective doesn't press. He allows gravity to do its work. Lack of evidence is not mercy. It's a time bomb. Two new facts fall out of the sky. 1. Douglas changed his will. Charity wins, Wendy loses. The motive tree grows a bitter fruit. 2. A back entrance camera sees what the cops needed to see: Wendy and Russell's private traffic pattern, and Millie leaving before Douglas's last arrival. The truth grows legs. It starts walking toward the right people. Country night. Cabin fireplace. Champagne popped out. Wendy and Russell go to ground in a cabin where their future is supposed to catch up with them, drunk and giddy. The phone ruins the mood, no inheritance, and the cops have digital eyes now. When Wendy looks up, the room has acquired a third gravity. Mary Beth, Russell's wife, has been orbiting silently for months. She's come to collide. Mary Beth, don't scream. You won't have the breath for it later. Right, the confession unspools. Like a wire, affair, plan, decoy, frame, murder. The suicide note follows, short and damning and smooth. Russell tries to speak. He burbles instead. The bathwater circulates. A new color, it quiets him. It instructs the room on what will happen next. Stop, Mary Beth. You've been drinking the wine. Good, it's working. Digoxin needs time. Tick-tock. A heart med becomes a villain with perfect posture. It waits in the bloodstream. It pulls the thread no one else can reach. Wendy blinks and the room doubles. She tries to bargain with chemistry, but chemistry doesn't speak that language. City morning. Phone buzz, detective. Confessional lines with evidence. Camera timeline clears you. If help is needed for other cases, call. The call ends with a word that used to make Millie's throat close. Hero. She doesn't reject it. She puts it in a drawer and labels it for others to decide. Then she opens another drawer and checks that a small bottle is no longer there. It isn't. The absences in her life are earned. So are the presences. She moves in with a man who knows the line between rescue and revenge is sometimes a single step taken with a steady foot. She registers for classes. She changes the kind of silence in her apartment. The city is unchanged, which is how cities tell time. Millie is not. Final montage. Rubber gloves snap off. Door opens to ordinary sunlight. Heartbeat slows and steadies. Some stories end with a gavel. This one ends with a housemaid folding towels that never stained, a bottle that won't be found, a door that finally opens from the inside. The housemaid's secret is not the secret kept in a penthouse. It's the one carried out, wrapped in resolve. Justice wears rubber gloves. And tonight it was precise. End. In a city of spotless glass, the mess was never on the floor. It was in the story people told to survive. The door that must not open has finally swung wide. And what stepped out wasn't innocence or guilt, but design. A victim who wore sympathy. Like armor, and a housemaid who learned to turn rubber gloves into a gavel. In the housemaid's secret, every whisper was a test and every rule a warning, until evidence and intent collided in a cabin where confessions were written in ink and in wine. Justice didn't arrive loudly. It arrived precisely. If the heart was the weapon, then time was the trigger. A gun loaded with blanks, a will that erased a fortune, a camera that refused to lie, and a final reckoning that proved the deadliest plans are the ones rehearsed in plain sight. When the last glass stopped trembling, one truth remained. House may be clean, but the conscience never is. Thank you for listening to this dive into Freida McFadden's twist-sculpted maze, where empathy is bait and perception is a blade. If this story hooked the pulse, follow for the next unraveling and drop a line with the moment that made the breath hitch, the locked door, the blank shot, or the cabin's quiet verdict. Until then, keep the lights low and the questions sharp. Some secrets only reveal themselves when the house goes quiet.